Namaskar and good evening. We welcome you today to this exceptionally special episode. It's Women's Day, International Women's Day 2022. So today we bring for you 9 ladies, exceptional ladies who have some amazing stories. They are the ones that have pursued their passion. They are the ones that have dedicatedly made and created their niche. So I'm not going to speak too much about them because I'm as excited to bring them up on stage as probably you are to watch them and hear their stories. But before we begin, of course, I would love to talk about our collaborators for today's show, the Nehru Centre London. We are very excited to have them with us. So let me share a little bit about Nehru Centre London with you.
Namaste, my name is Amish Tripati and I'm the director of the Nehru Centre London. Now, some may think of Nehru Centre as just this beautiful fine building, and it is a fine building, no doubt. We have a wonderful art gallery out here. We have an awesome auditorium on the first floor with a capacity of 100 to 120 people right here in the heart of central London in Mayfair. But the Nehru Centre is a lot more than this fine building. The Nehru Centre is also an online platform. We are available on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram and on YouTube. And so the Nehru Centre is actually wherever you want it to be. Of course, we'd love for you to come to the physical events that we organize out here when we do organize them. But do join all our online platforms as well. This is a hybrid world. We are going to have offline physical events and online events as well. So do join our online platforms and do keep giving us feedback of what you think of it. We'd love to host you out there. We'd love to hear what you think of our events, and do keep sending in your suggestions as well. We do keep imbibing and learning from the feedback that you give to us to give you programs that you guys might enjoy. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Namaste. Jai Hind.
So that was the director, Nehru Centre, Amish Tripati, pre-recorded. And now we are delighted to have him with us on stage, Amish Tripati.
Hi, Nani.
Namaskar, good evening, and thank you for joining us live and making this even more special.
Thank you so much, Nani ji. In fact, I should speak as little as possible. What an honor it is to have such great women achievers on the Nehru Centre platform. As one of our ancient scriptures says, the gods abandon the land where women are not respected. And we certainly don't want the gods to abandon the Nehru Centre. So it is an honor and a delight for us to host such super achievers on our platform. I'm not going to say anything more. I'm just going to be a watcher now.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And so am I super excited to sit back and hear all the stories. So let's do this together as the hosts for today. So Amish, should we move backstage and bring on our first guest for today?
Yes, please.
Lovely. So our first guest for today is none other than Padmashree Shobna Narayan. Namaskar. Good evening, Shobna Didi.
Good evening, Nani. How wonderful to be on this platform with you. And it's so wonderful to be there with all these lovely women around and with one Krishna with us. Called
Let's
Amish
bring him on the
Tripati.
stage just for that. We're bringing the Krishna up on stage just because you called him Krishna.
Yeah.
Didi gave
Wonderful
you a
to have
very
the Krishna around.
I feel no, I will not say what I feel like, but I feel afraid of being the only male in this overwhelming and super achieving women panel. So yeah, so I'm going to keep quiet and listen.
We promise you it's very gentle, very kind, very generous panel. So let's get started with Shobna Didi then. Yes. So Didi, I'm not good. Nobody, you don't require an introduction, and I'm not going to give anything more. I'm not going to say anything more. But we want you to tell us about your journey, your life, how like you've juggled between the civil services and taking on Kathak in such a serious way. And so tell us about yourself, about your
I
journey,
don't know.
how.
That's one of the most difficult things to do, to tell about yourself, oneself. I can only just, in a few words, just say that I've lived my life the way I want to. And I did it because I believed in it. And I did it with passion, with integrity, and dedication, honesty, and also I keeping all the ethics and values intact. But in a way, if I look back and I think I was always moving against the tide. When I say against the tide, meaning the tide of what society wanted
Hmm.
or what was the dumb thing in society. So, first of all, to declare, even at a very young age, that I want to be a classical dancer was a strict no no for a girl from a good family, but which I did take to studies, then pursue to take to physics and dance, and yet be a recognized young dance of those days, 60s and 70s, and then have two parallel careers, which
Hmm.
is again a strict no no, and yet one did it because I believed in it. That was it. I wanted to do it. I mean, nobody forced me or anything, but just because I wanted to. And then you had to sort of make your mark in both. And also then the way I also, when my father's he died in a train accident, I gave the agni way back in the 70s. And 2 days later went and danced at the Mathura festival. The way I conducted, I had my long distance marriage, which was uh, now we are on 4th of May will be 40 years.
Wow.
And long distance motherhood also, in a way. But and then so I think I was just swimming against the tide, then also with my medical problems, with my
Hmm.
skin discoloration, and the taunts of people and the catty comments, etc. And plus also the knees packing up, and I've been declared by doctors through and through, including a couple of months ago, that I am a bedridden person. And yet you see me on stage performing.
And
So I've
beautifully
been
so.
a bedridden person for the last 20 years. So it's okay. The bedridden person is the walking dancing on stage. So so things like that. So as I said, I've just been moving against the tide, and not because anybody has asked me to, but just because I believe in it. And for me, I love what I've loved passionately, what I've done and what I'm doing. And I love being a woman. And let me also say
Above
that.
all. Yeah.
Above all, I love being a woman. I like my femininity. And if I had to, and I have only one um, prayer to the Lord, that please let me die dancing. That's all. Let me serve you till my last dying breath. And if I had to be born again, and if I was asked what would you like to be born as, I would say again, a woman and a dancer.
Lovely. That's beautiful. That's so well said, Didi. And tell us a little bit about you wrote this beautiful book, Meandering Pastures of Memoirs. So tell us a little bit about that book, right? It's a biography.
In a way, it is. It is about penning down certain experiences, because at that time Macmillan was after me to
Mm-hmm.
pick. pen down some experiences. So I did. And that was it. So I just
And,
pen down.
and you also spoke beautifully, and you also took Kathak onto the international stage, and how you collaborated with flamenco and with, like the other dance forms. I mean, that itself was
Yeah,
path-breaking.
in fact, those days when I did it, I mean, again, as I said, it was a strict no-no. When I also wore black on stage for a performance way back in the early 80s,
Right,
strict
right.
no-no. And when I also used my back as the opening sequence for some item,
A stage show,
strict
yeah, that's a
no.
no-no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, not in those days. I'm talking about the 70s and 80s. Then, but that wasn't me, this thing. But like today, what you know as Sufi was actually done in 1942 by my first guru, Sadhana Bose.
Wow.
She
Wow.
had performed to Rumi and Omar Khayyam, and I was asked to redo it and on her script at her memorial function when she died in 73. So, and that was my first introduction to what we know today as the world of Sufi. But and since then I've been, Rumi has been like my dear heartthrob, sort of Vishnu asni kyun hai qaid ni kunadas. If anybody's a Persian knowing person will murder me for the pronunciation, but doesn't matter. It's the
So,
heart which
Didi,
matters. It's the feeling which matters.
true. So, Didi, before we bring on our next guest for today, but I definitely want you to end your little piece right now before we get you back on the stage at the end. Is so can you, like, with bhav or with mudra, because that's what you are, like, like it's a complete expression, and maybe just like a little bit of an ang that you can show us with your hands. You can speak about what does Shobna Narayan mean to you.
Oh, what?
Sorry,
I don't know
I
what
knew
she
I
means
had.
to me. I don't
I
know
knew
what she
I had
means
to.
to me. No,
I
no,
knew I
no.
had to
Let
throw
me
this
take it in a
option.
different way, darling. Let me take it in a different way.
Okay.
Suppose
Huh.
here Nani will, Nani is probably looking at me
I am.
and
Yeah.
saying, yeah. And then she's so fed up of me. And so she says, Kahe ko mere ghar aaye. I've come to your house now, the StreamYard house. So, so Kahe ko mere ghar aaye ho. Now, suppose if she is to say, she said, Kahe ko mere ghar aaye ho. Or, 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 काहे को मेरे घर आए हो.
Oh my God, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. This was really, really amazing. This was
Thank you.
amazing, absolutely. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Didi. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being with us today. But please don't
And
leave because
actually, in the world of Kathak, we even rhythm speaks. If you have to say the sound of thunder or lightning, it says, and the jhula. Dha tit dha dha tit dha dha tit kir dha tit din dha ka dha di ki tit dha din dha kir dha din dha tak dha din takit dikit dha gina tit ka dha tak dikit dha dik na tak dik dha nida tak dikit dha dik na tak dik dha nida tak dikit dha dik na tak dik dha nida dha dha kat dha dha kat dha kat dha.
this is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And guess what? You know who our next guest up today is? She is none other than probably one of the pioneers of women playing tabla. She's a composer. I mean, above all, she's a phenomenal, phenomenal person, a super, super artist. And well, who doesn't know Anuradha Pal? So I'll bring her up, Didi, and I'm going to move you backstage because we all want to hear Anuradha as well.
Absolutely.
So, Anuradha, I'm bringing
Namaskar.
you up. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'm bringing you up because Didi was saying the Parhant, and I wanted you to be a part of that. And before Didi
Nagana
leaves
dhetta
the
dhet tananda dhada. Didi and I did a Nagana dhet dhet tananda dhada kit dhet 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 tananda kit taginaga we did there was a song called Dancing Rain, which I released on the occasion of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and last year August, and that's when Didi danced in that, and there was a beautiful Dal Badal Paran, which denotes the way the बादल जिस तरह से गरजते हैं और दीदी ने उसका इतना सुंदर उसको दिखाया है कि I would request all of you to go online and see Dancing Rain and see Didi, because she has started the entire program in my video, and this is the composition Didi that we did. Remember, nagana that that taranna da da kita that taranna kita tag tag Daginakan, so बादलों का गरजना और बरसना.
Very, very
So-
nice. This was lovely. So I'm taking Shobna Didi backstage, and Anuradha, let's hear you. So tell us a little bit about, because like you've not only trained in the tabla, but the pakhavaj, and you're a multi-percussionist, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. I've been reading up so much about you, and there's so much about you, I'm sure everybody knows. But I want to hear it from you. I want you to tell us, about, first of all, you chose tabla, which again was a path-breaking situation because it's a very male-dominated instrument. And how then you stood up against all odds and you've created a niche for yourself. Look at the impact that you've made, and there's so many women who've come on after you and they've taken it on as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself, about your journey, how you got into it.
Okay, so well, the journey it will take a long time to talk about because there are several things I did, but I'll keep it as brief as possible because there are wonderful women over here, and Shovanadi has set the stage on fire already, as was expected. So it's I started learning classical vocal and tabla more as an adjunct because. When I was singing, I sort of could tell what rhythm cycle it should be and how the tal should go, and there was probably an inner flair for it. And so I requested the teacher to teach me, who was actually coming to teach my brother, and he refused. Said, "ये लड़कियों का काम नहीं है, मैं नहीं सिखाऊंगा." So I persisted. I learned on my own somehow, and then after a couple of months, when he finally heard me, he said, "Okay, I'll teach you." So that's how I started learning tabla along with vocal as an adjunct. I mean, together. And I was 9 years old when I started performing on Doordarshan and also small concerts here and there and radio and all that. And then when I was 13, I started, and of course, when I was 11, I started learning from Ustad Alaraka and Zakir Hussain, which was a great blessing because I had to get trained from masters like them and to go through the fire. And for that, I literally had to surrender and submit and completely dedicate myself to, and of course, I faced a lot of rejection, a lot of discrimination, a lot of nepotism because I didn't come from a musician family. So here was this mongrel. Literally, I was treated like a mongrel. No pedigree, no family to boast of, and coming from a female in a male-dominated field. So people would literally say, "तुम हो कौन चीज? कहाँ से आई हो? क्यों आई हो? Why are you in our field and stepping on our toes?" So there were several times when people tried to pull me down or spread misinformation, or if they called me for a concert, they would put down the volume or just not let my name out in the publicity or do funny things. But there were other musicians who were very secure and strong and great musicians who actually promoted me a lot. And like the top musicians who I played with, like Girja Devi, like Maharaji, like just Raji, Hariji, Shivji, all these great artists who I played with, who helped me to actually get that confidence and play on my own. But moreover, I needed to, I kept sort of working on my art, which is very important because that's when I would do this chilla, which was this 10-hour regime every day to train myself. So it was very important for me to become strong in my work so I could play with different people as well as have develop a repertoire of different of the six gharanas of tabla. I wanted that there should not be anything lacking in my presentation or in my skills. So, but of course, I came from a musician, highly academically oriented family. So, making sure that I balanced academics along with music was extremely necessary for me. Like Shona Didi said, that she did it for herself. That's exactly the way it was for me. I was so passionately into my academics. I enjoyed science. I actually did my 12th in my ICSE, and then I joined science. And uh, that whole journey of actually making a balance between many diverse things. I was interested in sports, reading,
So that is
music,
fantastic.
continuously
That's
everything.
fantastic. That's
So
fantastic
juggling
because
and wearing,
yeah, so
wearing
many
many
different
hats like
aspects.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
it actually,
But then
I
you
enjoyed it.
but
I
then you
enjoyed the
finally
fact that I
became
didn't have a minute.
but then you
I didn't
finally
have a
became a
minute
leading
to
percussionist.
socialize. I didn't have a minute. I didn't have a minute to socialize. I didn't have a time to, like जैसे बोलते हैं ना chill करते हैं या
Correct,
go out
correct.
for friends or whatever. I didn't have time for that because I was very passionate about everything that I did and very much
But that
committed to my music.
So, but
And
that is what
then
shows
as I,
through your playing, Anuradha. That comes through your playing, and that comes through your talent. That how you've taken the tabla to the next level, and not just the tabla. I mean, your own jugalbandi is so fantastic, and so many other things that you are doing. So it's absolutely brilliant. And your journey, what you just spoke. I know it's very difficult to capture such a fantastic journey in just like 3 minutes. It's very, very tough. But I know this is like, I mean, the end result, the kind of impact that you've created, which is so significant. And that's exactly the message we want to leave behind. And I know that you have to rush off for an award ceremony, but I really hope that we are able to catch you back on the stage at the end. And of
absolutely.
course, and otherwise, then we have this very special video of yours, which we're going to play at that time, just in case we miss you at that time. So thank you
Sure.
so much.
And I
This
also
was
want to mention, for the benefit of people here, because it's Women's Day, I want to mention two initiatives that I did, especially for women, which I
hmm,
believe is significant because one, I created the Sri Shakti band, which actually is the first all female or all girl Hindustani Carnatic band,
correct.
which
Yes,
which
that's true.
fused and which actually gave opportunity and continues to give opportunity to other girls and encourage them. And secondly, I also instituted an award called the Padmashree Vyas Award, named after my grandfather, who was a great educationist, and where it was more about encouraging girls towards music, dance, and social service. So my whole
Yes,
idea has been to make it inclusive, and whether it's environment or sustainable development or cancer or music or dance, how can we actually bring different skill sets together and promote girls to think for the country? Because I also
yeah,
believe
that's
somewhere
fantastic.
my heart beats for the country, and that's when I also released the Bharat Vandan video, which celebrates incredible India.
No, it's fantastic, Anuradha. You've been doing amazing work, and seriously, more
Thank
power
you
to
so much.
you. And may you always do like loads and loads, and keep sharing a lot of music with all of us. So, thank you so much for being here with us today. And
Thank you, Naniji, and thank you to all the wonderful panelists and Amish Tripati sir and Shona Didi. You're a big inspiration, Didi, and thank you for all the invitation, Naniji. Thank you for all the
congratulations for the award
everything.
that you're going to receive. And I'm now going to take you off, and I bring our next guest is Dr. Radhika Chopra. So, thank you
Thank you so much.
so much, Anuradha.
Thank you.
So up next, so Dr. Radhika Chopra's video is not on. So let's go. Oh, there she is. So that's Radhika ji, you're on mute.
Yes, can you
Yeah.
hear me now?
Yes, I can. So good evening, and thank you so much for being with us here today. So
Thank
Radhika
you.
Chopra, I'm
Namaskar,
sure.
Adab.
Yes, and for everybody, I think everybody knows Radhika Chopra, but for those who are still wondering why I'm not giving detailed profiles for anyone out there, I've written down a whole sheet, but I don't think anybody needs introduction. What they're speaking today speaks for themselves, and that's exactly why we are here today. You can get a lot of data on them on the net, in any case. So Radhika Chopra, as we call her the Ghazal Queen, she's one of my most favorite Ghazal singers. So over to you, Radhika ji, to tell us a little bit about your journey and how you started and how look at the niche that you've made for yourself. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. बहुत शुक्रिया. आपने मुझे याद किया और इस काबिल समझा. I'm extremely grateful, honored and privileged to be on the same panel as Shobna ji and Anuradha ji and all the other incredible women. A very happy Women's Day to every woman across the globe, I would say. हालांकि मुझे लगता है we don't need a particular day to celebrate Women's Day because each day is a Women's Day and just being a woman is a celebration by itself for me.
Absolutely,
I'm
you
very
said it.
proud of being a woman and like Shobna ji said कि हाँ मैं भी अगले जन्म मोहे बिटिया ही कीजो. So I would also like to be a woman in my next birth. सो जर्नी की जहां तक बात है नन्ही वो मुझे लगता है कि 3-4 मिनट में वाकई कहना बहुत मुश्किल है और गजल से मैं कब जुड़ी और कैसे जुड़ी गजल से मेरी वाबस्तगी किस तरह हुई मुझे लगता है वो बचपन में कहीं इट्स आई थिंक a lot to do with my dad, with my father. क्योंकि वो उर्दू पोइट्री के बहुत शौकीन थे और गालिब के और बेगम अख्तर के मुरीद थे. तो मेरा ख्याल है कि वो जो इनिशियल आप बचपन में जो चीज आपके कानों में पड़ती है वो आगे चलकर आपके जहन में वो कहीं ना कहीं रह जाती है. सो आई थिंक दैट इज द मेन रीजन फॉर मी टू बी सो मच इन लव विद उर्दू जुबान एंड उर्दू पोइट्री. और फिर आगे चलकर ऑफ कोर्स जगजीत जी प्लेड अ वेरी बिग रोल. मैं इतनी मुतासिर हुई उनका गाना सुनकर और उनकी गजल सुनकर के कहीं दिल ने ये फैसला किया कि मुझे भी इस विधा के साथ ही जुड़ना है और इसे ही लेकर आगे बढ़ना है. लेकिन आप जैसा चाहते हैं और सोचते हैं जिंदगी में कभी कभी ऐसा नहीं होता. सो मेरे साथ भी कुछ ऐसा ही हुआ. आई हैड टू टेक 10 years sabbatical after marriage. Intentional, of course, not that anybody forced me to do that, but just that your priorities, I think, automatically change once you're married and once you have children. So 10 साल जो थे वो पहले वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ अपने घर को और अपनी बच्चियों को दिए. Then, of course, there was a wake-up call, I would say. I started learning again from Shanti ji. I joined her back. फिर मैंने जमकर मेहनत की और बहुत शिद्दत से सीखा. उर्दू की तालीम ली, बाकायदा तालीम ली. आई वॉज ऑलवेज गुड एट उर्दू बिकॉज आई बिलोंग टू जम्मू एंड कश्मीर और यू जस्ट नेचुरली पिक उर्दू देयर, यू डोंट हैव टू वर्क वेरी हार्ड फॉर इट ऑनेस्टली. लेकिन फिर भी मुझे लगा कि वो काफी नहीं थी, मुकम्मल नहीं थी. सो मैंने बाकायदा तालीम शुरू की उर्दू की, बहुत रियाज किया, बहुत मेहनत की. क्योंकि गजल इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट सिंगिंग और नॉट ओनली अबाउट प्रोनाउंसिएशन, इट्स मच बियॉन्ड दैट. उससे भी कहीं ज्यादा उसके नुआंसेस एंड पंक्चुएशन, बहुत सी चीजें हैं. तो एक शायर को पढ़ना पड़ता है, समझना पड़ता है, उसके ख्यालात, उसके तसव्वुरात को अपने ख्यालात बनाना पड़ता है और जिंदगी को थोड़ा जीना पड़ता है, तब आप गजल को समझते हैं. और फिर हालांकि जिंदगी के 10-12 साल जो बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट थे करियर के, मैं कहूंगी जिंदगी के नहीं, वो तो निकल गए. But no regrets at all, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि it was very important for me to give that very precious and valuable time to my children. I think they needed me the most at that time.
Absolutely.
And
Everything has space.
it shows in their upbringing, all thanks to God. So बस बहुत अच्छे से मैनेज कर पाई हूँ नन्ही. God has been very kind. उसके फजलो करम से बहुत अच्छा एक बैलेंस बना के चल पाई हूँ बिटवीन माय पर्सनल एंड प्रोफेशनल लाइफ, जो कि मुझे लगता है कि एक बहुत बड़ी बात है. एंड आई एम I'm proud of myself, honestly, that
So
I've
that
been
is the
able to do
punchline.
that.
That's your punchline. The balance is
Yes,
the most important thing. And I
yes,
think as women, as
yes,
multitaskers, this is one thing, I don't know, I think it's a natural talent, right? It's a natural talent in most of us.
absolutely. I think yes, all women can do it. लेकिन
Hmm.
शायद कुछ कभी किसी दबाव में आ जाती हैं, और बहुत सी मैंने टैलेंटेड खवातीन से मेरी मुलाकात होती है जो अच्छा गाती हैं या अच्छा कुछ भी पेंट करती हैं, एनीथिंग टू डू विद आर्ट,
Hmm.
बट दे हैव नॉट
Hmm.
बीन एबल टू डू इट. सो
True.
लेकिन अगर मैं कर पाई 10-12 साल के बाद भी वापस आ पाई और अपनी
A
जगह
big
बना
thing.
पाई, सो आई थिंक इट्स कमेंडेबल. सो
It
अपनी
is.
तारीफ
It's
नहीं कर
very,
रही हूँ,
very
मुझे गलत
commendable.
नहीं समझिएगा, लेकिन
नहीं, नहीं. No,
ऊपर
no, it's
वाले का
very,
शुक्रिया
very.
अदा कर रही हूँ, ग्रैटिट्यूड
बिल्कुल,
दैट.
बिल्कुल,
जी.
बिल्कुल.
एंड ऑफ
So,
कोर्स फैमिली सपोर्ट एंड बहुत लोगों की मोहब्बत और प्यार और दुआएं, सबने काम किया.
बिल्कुल, नो, दिस इज़ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट जो आपने भी और आपने जो भी बताया इसमें से बहुत पावरफुल मैसेजेस भी मिले हैं हम सबको. सो राधिका जी,
एक छोटी सी बात जो बस और शेयर करना चाहूंगी अपने लिसनर्स के साथ और अपने व्यूअर्स के साथ, कि जो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज जो मैंने फेस किया नन्ही, वो हालांकि मुझे आपने ये क्वेश्चन पूछा नहीं, लेकिन मैं खुद ही बताना चाह रही हूँ. क्योंकि जिस विधा से मैं जुड़ी हूँ, जिस जॉनर से मैं जुड़ी हूँ, गजल, ये इसमें अदा जो है वो बहुत एक इम्पोर्टेंट हिस्सा है इसका. चेहरे पे मुस्कुराहट और अदा बहुत जरूरी है. जैसे कथक में है, डांस फॉर्म्स में है, ऐसे ही गजल में भी है. और बीइंग अ वुमन, आई थिंक दैट इज द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज यू फेस, कि आप जब मर्दों की दुनिया में मर्दों के सामने बैठकर अदा के साथ गाते हैं, with that you have to maintain the dignity, the grace and respect, and also to be able to draw a line somewhere.
मोस्ट
पता
इम्पोर्टेंट.
नहीं मैं मुझे ये कहना चाहिए या नहीं, लेकिन कभी कभार हमें वर्बली थोड़ा फ्लर्टेशियस भी होना पड़ता है नन्ही स्टेज पे. That's part of my genre, honestly speaking, you know. But at the same time वो सब करते हुए एक लाइन ड्रॉ करनी है, so that the message is very clear and it's sent across, कि बस यही तक है.
यही तक है. No, it's very,
जी,
very good. What you have just
जी,
said is excellent. And when we bring
जी.
you back on stage, that is when we are going to get you to sing a few lines for us as well. Because we've
All
got
right, thank you.
our next guest for today. And so thank you so much, Radhika. But please don't go away because we are not letting you leave without you singing for us.
बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत
So,
शुक्रिया.
so thank you. And so our next guest for today is amazing, amazing, amazing Bharatnatyam dancer. She's a choreographer, professor, and like what have you. I mean, there's like so much to her that I cannot say everything in one breath. So, first, good evening, and thank you so much, Shoini, for being with us today. This is very, very special. And other than being a really, really dear friend, she's a fabulous person. And Shoini, I want to hand it over to you quickly and tell us about yourself, your journey, and how you created this impact.
Hello, Nandini. Wonderful to be here and with all these super lady achievers, super women, and Amish ji, of course. Very happy to be with you here today. And a very happy Women's Day, first of all. And every day
You
is
too.
Women's Day, now and forever. And yes, Nandini, it's always wonderful to kind of go back to where we began our lives as dancers. And as I said, I love being a woman and I love being a dancer. And for me, from day one, everything that we did or we thought in art was about kindness. It was about empathy. It was connecting with the others, and it was the dream of a world without frontiers, without discrimination. That was always the kernel of what I did. My father is the late Pandit Subroto Rai Chaudhary. My mother is a sculptor. So I grew up in a house of art, but also art was taken very seriously because otherwise, you see, especially in Bengal, it's kind of an obligation to learn a dance or, some kind of an instrument. But my household, they were very clear that you can only learn if you're very serious. It's not time pass. It's not a hobby. It's not something that you just display at when you're 3 years old, when there are people at home. It is something very serious, as serious as your academics. So one year, I saw Birju Maharaj ji dance when I was, I think, 4 years old. And I saw Yamini Krishnamurti perform. And for me, they were gods performing. And that is exactly what I wanted to learn. And when I came and told my parents, they said, that's all right. Every child wants to learn dancing. But it was after 1 year of pestering and pursuing it. And I wrote down I got somebody to write down the name of Guru Thankamani Kutti. And that's when my father took seriously. And my journey in dance began under Guru Thankamani Kutti, later under Guru Venkit, who was one of the kindest and most wonderful tutors of dance ever. I also learnt Kathakali from Guru Govindan Kutti and Karalipayattu and Mohiniyattam. But I chose to specialize and grow in Bharatanatyam. And it was later that I got married rather early and had my son. Then we moved to Spain because my husband moved there. And at that time, I was a solo Bharatanatyam dancer. But when I moved to Spain, the transition happened between solo Bharatanatyam to our Shohini Moksha dance opera, which was born actually out of quite a bit of grief. There was this big festival happening, and I was asked by the embassy to go and meet the director of the festival. And he said that, okay, so you're going to do Indian dance. What's Bharatanatyam actually? Is it something like Bollywood? Okay. Bollywood, the heroes take off their shirts and fling it at the audience. So would you be able to do that? The middle-aged men would love it. And with my Bengali sensibilities, which was, I was so hurt and annoyed. I thought I would probably never dance in this country. But within 3 days, I was composing a fusion with Tchaikovsky and dancing it. And then I had about 8 or 9 students at that time in Spain, and I was choreographing a piece for them. And when we got it ready, I started, that was our production for the main events. And that is how Shohini Moksha World Dance Opera was born.
Lovely.
And we performed with Danny Boyle for the Oscars, and it was like, so that was the transition. And now I perform pure Bharatanatyam at all my university gigs, but on stage, what we do is Shohini Moksha dance opera, which whether you find it good, bad, or ugly, it's original, it's mine. So that's what I do.
It's fantastic because you took Bharatanatyam beyond its barriers. You took it on the global stage, and like how, performing at the Oscars and so many others, in fact, and how you've developed this group. So, Shohini, this has been fantastic because it's so inspirational on how you've reached out to so many other women, and you told them what the path was. It's very clear. It's right in front of them. So I think it's a fabulous, fabulous journey. And I know I'm like rushing with everyone because we're not even
don't
halfway
worry,
through.
that's all right.
But we are going to come back because that is when I definitely want you to show a little bit of bhav and a little bit of mudras, right? So thank you so much, Shohini. And please don't go away because we're going to get you back on stage. So thank you so much for being with us. And up next, we have somebody I've really been exceptionally fond of as a musician, as a singer. I used to love her Deewane, Deewane to Deewane Hai. And lo and behold, right here on stage, we have with us Shweta Shetty.
Hi,
Good evening,
Nani.
Shweta.
Good evening,
Thank you for being
Nani.
with us today.
It's absolutely, how can one refuse you, Nani? One can never refuse you. And after listening to all these amazing women, I somehow have a common link with all of them. Most of them seem to have gone abroad, taken that 10-year break. They've had children. I haven't, but just, being abroad, being away from the limelight, being away from music and dance and everything. And then eventually coming back to something that you totally, totally love, which can never leave that you can never leave these things. It's just amazing. With Radhika ji, I needed to have a dictionary because Urdu was just so amazing.
No, that's it. When we spoke about that, and we said definitely speak in Urdu because after all, ghazals cannot be sung in English. It just doesn't work. So
absolutely.
So Shweta, tell us about yourself, like how like you were so embedded in in Bollywood, and then you went off, and then you came back again. So tell us a little bit about your journey, and your songs, your music, and like then of course, like I mean, I have to share with everybody about your innovation singing opera in Hindi. I mean, nobody has done that till now. So tell us a bit, take us from there to there. You have literally 3 minutes, but yeah, take us from there to there.
So basically, Nani, when I entered the pop industry, you have to understand the 90s. I came in the 90s, was a very conservative time for a lot of girls my age and for their sisters and brothers. And it was always like, ye mat pehno, wo mat pehno, ghar par ye, but 12 बजे के पहले आना, लड़कों के साथ नहीं जाना, ये जाना. So you see, I was also, came from a typical conservative Bun family. So I wanted to break these rules, and so when I did, my entry foray into pop, I always said, I want to be myself. There are many times that I got songs and I'm like, I don't believe in, songs like this. I wanted to wear what I wanted to wear because this is what I wear when I go to college or, things like that. So without realizing it, I didn't realize that I was giving freedom to a lot of other young girls and even boys to basically do what they wanted to do. Also to do the music that you love to do. Like even when I entered Bollywood, there was a typical, image of a singer, like, saris and chudidars and,
Really?
conservative, low voice. Yeah, because Bollywood was more, dominated by Asha Bhosle, Lata ji. Due respects, they were like absolutely amazing, but I couldn't fit into that mold. So when I used to go for a recording, I was in my ganji and my t-shirts, so they couldn't, I was in my shorts. They couldn't really understand that, but I just, basically kind of told them just because I'm in short clothes doesn't mean I'm going to remove it. And to be fair to Bollywood, there was never a moment or a instance where anybody really made a pass at me because I was myself, and even singing songs that I wanted to do. So basically my first song was with Papida. It was, I don't know if you know about it, Nani, it was called Chicken, You Are My Chicken Fry.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
God.
It was a song sung with Bapida himself, and I was in college and I was totally embarrassed and I tried to get out of the song, I said, Bapida, मैं Xavier's college में हूँ और हम ऐसे गाने नहीं गा सकते, please किसी और को ले लो. नहीं से या आपका ये गान तो आपके लिए बना हुआ है. Anyway, I sang it and it became a hit. So the ball just got rolling. So I was unconventional. My way of dealing with people was also very unconventional, and I also had a lot of restrictions from home. Come home at a certain time, don't do this and don't wear that, and reputation to protect, because my mother's side of the family were all doctors, and father's side of the family, I mean, I was the only Bant girl to actually venture out into something which was actually not a very decent profession. You come home late, you wear the things that you have to do, you are outspoken, and you're not allowed to do these things. Only thing is, oh my God, who's going to marry you? But who the hell wanted to get married at that point of time? So, you see, so there was a lot of, so while I was listening to all these other women, that they also had to fight their way to find their spotlight, which nobody can take away. So to reach that position, it is a lot of hard work. You have to believe first, more than anything else, you have to believe in yourself. I keep telling everybody, you believe in your talent. What others have to say should not affect you. You do what you want to do, and have the integrity, and do things that are going to be memorable, that even when you're gone, people are going to remember you, which is what, I was very happy that songs like Divane and, Tote Tote during the whole COVID thing came back into fashion with the younger generation, and I was really excited, Yeah, I mean, it was nice because
That's what made a fantastic comeback also in many ways. Yes,
a comeback sitting at home. Yeah, I've had many comebacks, but this was totally. So you see, you have to leave that body of work that you are going to be proud of, and I was really proud about all these things. There was a lot of opposition, but you have to fight these opposition. Okay, and even sometimes you feel you're all alone, but the tough ones are always alone. You see, when you go to a jungle, you will see the weak ones always in groups. But if you see a lion or a tiger or a panther or a cheetah, they always hunt alone. And these are the examples that I took when I was entering a world, because you're actually entering a jungle as far as entertainment is concerned, because today somebody likes chocolate cake and tomorrow they like vanilla ice cream. So
you have faith in yourself, have confidence in your talent, and just go for it and make your own niche.
Absolutely. And don't compromise. Don't compromise.
Absolutely. Very well said, Shweta. Very, very powerful words, and I think super powerful messages that have come out of this conversation. And I'm going to now take you backstage, but don't go away, because you're definitely not leaving without singing for us. So that's going to be right at the end. I love you. So I'm going to bring you back on stage, and I'm going to bring our next guest up now. Yeah, thank you, Shweta, for being with us, but don't go away. So next up is a lady I recently connected with, and her name is Sangeetha Bahadur. Good evening, and thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure entirely, Nani.
So before I start, of course, I've written a big intro. I've done that for everybody, but I'm not going to go through that intros because I want you to tell us about yourself. But I definitely want to tell the audience that when I first connected with Sangeetha, she was the ambassador of India in Spain. And then she moved to Belarus.
Belarus.
Sorry, no, that's it. Sorry, Malta, not Spain. You were in Malta that time.
I'm in Malta now. I'm High Commissioner to Malta, but before this, I was in Belarus.
In Belarus, okay. Yeah. And now she's the Indian High Commissioner in Malta, and of course, member of the. She's from the prestigious IFS, and been doing a lot of work with the ministry in India as well. And Sangeetha, why am I going on talking about you? I want you to tell us about yourself. And of course, and she's an author, which is what really, really was amazing. And so, Sangeetha, tell us a little bit about yourself and then about your books. And I definitely want to hear about Devdasi. I'm curious to hear about that as well.
Well, thank you, Nani. First of all, thank you for having me here in this absolutely stellar lineup of women that you've called today. And I'm so, I couldn't listen to some of them because I joined late, as you know, because there was all this technical hassle. But, whoever I've listened to, most of them, half the panel I know personally because of my background in ICCR when I was there. But the other half are equally interesting and amazing because I know about them, and this is such an amazing opportunity to interact with them in some way. So, in fact, I'm very surprised why you called me to join this lineup, because
there's a huge connect. No, there's a huge connect because one, if you notice, the common thread right now is that each of the women were rebels in their own way. Yes. And that's a huge common thread. That's why you all managed to make the impact and create a niche. So tell us about this.
Absolutely. And in fact, I was just listening to Shweta, right? And she was, whatever she was saying really rang a bell with me because, during my misspent youth, I was really the wild child rebel. And coming from a very conventional family, because, everybody was, a lawyer or a doctor or a civil servant and things like that, including my dad, who was in the income tax, and a very respectable background. And they all wanted me to do certain things, live in a certain way. As Shweta was saying, you have to come back at a particular time. You have to wear clothes like this. You cannot do this, and you should do this, and things like that. So, and for me, it was like, if my parents asking me to do that, I'm certainly not going to do it. So it was like, so they wanted me to study science. I said, no, certainly not. I'm going to go for literature, which is what I did. Then they wanted me to become a doctor. I said, no, anything but. So, it was just a series of these rebellions. And then the most amazing part for me was when I was in my second year of postgrad, I declared to my parents that I'm going to become an air hostess.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the shock and the horror. And they were all like, what's wrong with you? And there was this major, like kind of problem at home, and none of us were talking to each other. And I was like, either I become a journalist or I become an air hostess, and preferably an air hostess. So everybody was extremely upset and all, but like nobody had the sense to ask me why, which was a duty which was performed by my dad's best friend, who happened to come and visit us in Mumbai. I was studying there in those days. My father was posted there, and he said, like, what is the matter? Why are none of you speaking to each other? So my father said, just look at her, stupid girl, like second year of postgrad, and she wants to become an air hostess. So he asked me why. And I said, because I want to travel. And he said, great, then join the Foreign Service, travel in style. And I said, wow, that's a good idea. So that is how,
As
this whole,
simple. Yeah.
as simple as that. And then, I took the exams and actually made it, to my own amazement and to the amazement of everyone else who knew me. And so after that, it's been, like, I've never really had a permanent home to call my own, because, since my dad was also in civil services, so we were like, constantly every 2-3 years, you change cities, and, like even in India. And then once I joined the Foreign Service, then it was a constant change of countries. So I've lived in 7 countries. I've visited maybe another 45 or whatever. I don't really remember the number anymore. So it's been an amazing and a very blessed life, I would say. I mean, very few people get to live a life like this, and to, and at the same time to serve your country, because I'm all said and done, I'm, as my older daughter says, I'm weirdly patriotic. For me, it's like whatever I do, I feel so blessed and so proud. um, and my problem, I think, in my childhood and youth, was that, probably, I mean, don't take it as vanity, I'm just telling you the truth, I had too many talents, so I never focused on any. Like, I could sing, I could dance, I could act, I could, do all kinds of things. So everything came so easy that it was like, iska kya value, ye to, I can just do it like that, iska kya value है, that kind of a thing.
ये तो
Now
मैं कर ही लेती हूँ, ये तो
ये
मेरे
तो
को
मैं
आता
कर नहीं
ही है.
लेती हूँ, कुछ और करते हैं.
हाँ.
So now I really regret, because my poor parents, they tried very hard to get me trained in music and dance and whatever. And I would flirt with it for a few months and then say, mujhse nahi hoga, and I just thought I was such a wonderful singer. I was such a wonderful actress. I didn't really want, anything, which I really regret now. But out of all these things, writing is one thing that stuck with me, because I started writing when I was maybe around 11 years old, with starting with short stories and things, and then it went on to into full-fledged novels written by hand in notebooks. And all my friends in college and my teachers and everyone were crazy about them, so they'd be waiting for the next chapter, and then it would be torn out of the notebook and circulate and then come back to me.
Really? That's
So,
fantastic.
yeah, so but then, then I joined the civil services, joined the Foreign Service, got married, had children. So, like a lot of other women who were talking about these things, there was a long break. There were years in which I wrote nothing. And then suddenly, like, I said, kya kar rahi hu main apni zindagi ke saath? Like, this is fine. I enjoy my job, but it doesn't feed your spirit. Government service is not something that gives you that kind of satisfaction that, say, being a dancer or being a singer or an artist would do. So I said, okay, so now among all my talents, let me find the one which really enthuses me the most. And I discovered it was still writing. So that is when, after my second daughter was born, and there was a lot of trouble going on in my life at that time. My first marriage was breaking up, and I was like in a very, very bad place emotionally, spiritually. So I took up writing as a therapy. And that is how my first book was born, Jal, which is the first book of the quadrology. So it took me years, like it took me about 6 years to write, because I thought, by then I had such a low opinion of myself, I thought nobody would want to read it. So I was like, no, what's the point? Let me just write it for my own pleasure. But then, later on, after several years, once I had completed it, and by then I was married again. So my husband, he just, glanced through it and he said, this is so beautiful. Why aren't you sending it for publishing? So I said, who would want to publish? And he said, no, you must try. And that was the time when I sent it, to an agent, and they placed it with the Pan Macmillan in no time, and within a
Wow. Wow. So that
So
was the start of that journey of
that's right. So,
yeah,
and I've
the
really, really
authority.
enjoyed both, the streams of my life. I've really loved being in the IFS, and I'm enjoying being an author.
So there you are. So, and you've been traveling in style. So your air hostess ambition also somewhere along the line has gotten fulfilled. But you know
Right.
what? We
Yeah.
have to hear you sing. So don't go away. We're going to bring you back on the stage after completing. We've still got three more fantastic guests right now. And I'm going to bring you back on stage, and then we're going to hear you sing. So we're not letting you go
Certainly,
without
but
that.
I'm really a little apprehensive about that with three amazing singers that you have, whom I've heard personally and whom I love, all three of them. So, but yeah, okay. My
That's
little
okay.
queen.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. So thank you so much, Sangeeta. This has been
Thank you, Nani, and
amazing.
happy Women's Day. I forgot to
And
say
happy
that.
Women's Day to you too. Yes. So I'm now going to take you backstage and I'm going to bring on our next guest up for this evening. So our next guest up for this evening is a lady who everybody knew her as the Pari Hume girl. And then of course her Kesaria is what I love more than anything else. And just so many more. I don't even want to get started because I know that I end up talking more than y'all talk. So I can go on and on and on talking about Sunita Rao and then leading her right up to Vada Karo, what she's just done, which is absolutely a brilliant masterpiece. So Sunita, first, thank you so much and welcome today to this very special session of Women with Wings. And tell us a little bit about what was it that got you started into singing, got you on the stage? What was that zing, passion, and how you took it on? What were the challenges?
First of all, let me just give you a very, very big kiss because it's wonderful, wonderful to see you, Nani, and wonderful to have all these absolutely incredibly accomplished, beautiful, beautiful women on this platform. It's really, truly an honor to be here. I have been in the pop industry for 3 decades, I think. Thrown into the world of the entertainment and musical theater at the age of 15. And yeah, that's a very, very young age. I was doing my HSC examination and Greece at the same time.
Wow. Wow.
I remember on one particular occasion, I had my Hindi exam in the morning, and in the evening, I had a show of Greece. So I'll never forget how a friend of mine drove me at full speed from the examination center straight to Sophia Bhabha Auditorium. I'll never forget that. But you know something, if I want to speak about a journey and if I want to put it into like a short capsule, I would say it has been one of the most exciting and difficult and what shall I say, magical journey as far as my entertainment and theater and music career is concerned. But in the beginning, it was very, very difficult, very, very emotionally difficult for me because being at such a young age, everybody was much older than me. And I remember my very first theater experience, I'm not going to say any names over here, but it was a gentleman whom I was working with who didn't tell me what I was actually going to eventually do. He made it sound like I was going to be doing this heavy duty theater thing, and I had to do warm-ups with him, physical warm-ups and stretching, and I was a dancer, and I thought, hey, I'm going to be doing something really cool. And all I really ended up doing was wearing this pink leotard and moving around the boxes, and I was actually changing the set for the rest of the skits to happen. But I'll never forget the review that came in the newspapers was, the play got a bad review, but I got a good review. Pencil Slim Sunita Rao dancing lively on the stage.
That's too funny.
So that was a
That's
very
so
difficult
funny.
beginning. Yeah. And then it was basically during musical theater that HMV spotted me and asked me to do albums. And then again, I had my nose up in the air. I was in Xavier's college. I was learning Carnatic music. I took myself very seriously. I said, I'm not going to do Hindi pop. But I had a whole textbook, like a whole book of loose pages where I had written English songs, English lyrics, but I refused to do Hindi. So they said, okay, we'll give you a couple of years to grow up. You're going to come back to us. And sure enough, I mean, my mother is a ghazal singer, and I've been exposed to Indian
Phenomenal.
classical music. But I've been exposed to from Kishore Kumar ji, Asha Bhosle, Lata ji, and everybody. And then on the other hand, Billy Joel, Whitney Houston, Peter Gabriel. You know, I'm born in Germany and grown up in Mumbai. So I'm like a kind of a global person, you would say, right from the beginning. So I had so many interests. As Sangeetha said just now, I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance, I wanted to act, I wanted to do economics, for God's sake. I applied to do economics abroad. And I can't even remember the chronology. I was also applying for musical theater abroad. I don't know what came first. So, you know, it was like in school, I did this thing called the aptitude test, where it actually said interests unclear. And that really affected me. It's like I wanted to do so much. I wasn't unclear in my head. I was very clear that I wanted to do a lot of things. But then, fortunately for me, things just unfolded. You know, I was learning Bharatanatyam as a child, and I've got, you know, I've listened to the most incredible Bharatanatyam dancer on this platform today, and my pranam to you. I learned it as a kid, and my attempts to do my Arangetram were thwarted on 3 different occasions for various reasons in my life. But then that was the reason why I joined musical theater, and that's where I got introduced to Evita and Greece. So like one thing leads to another. And I had several issues. I mean, in those days, we had playback singing offers. I worked with everybody from Bapida to Anu Malik to Rajesh Roshan to Lakshmikant Pyarelal. Everybody gave me something or the other to do. But, you know, just as Shweta said earlier, they were trying to make me fit into a certain mold. And the things that they thought suited me, I wasn't really so happy doing, you know, like a lot of English words mixed with Hindi and, you know, that kind of thing. And some of the songs were nice, but a lot of them were forgettable. So I found my own identity doing my own music. And fortunately, I had friends in the jingle industry. I was known as the kind of jingle queen, and I was doing like hundreds and hundreds of jingles, and I knew Louis and Leslie and everybody, and they ended up producing my albums. I was so lucky. I had to, of course, chase them. I mean, Ranjit, you know, I had to chase them for months and months and months and months, but I got albums out of them. I had to fight with HMV because they were refusing to spend more than a certain amount on videos. They did give me, in those days, it was incredible that we actually had pop videos, music videos. But, you know, when I made the video of Pari Hume, by then they had said they didn't want to spend any more. And I myself somehow begged and borrowed and got some money together, made the video and put the video cassette into an envelope and sent it off to Singapore to MTV myself. I got fired by the record company and they said, how could you go over our heads and do it? I said, well, you weren't doing it, so I had to. These were difficult. I was young, and I would get butterflies in my stomach when I would go into that office with them sitting on those big desks. You know, and sometimes the industry had this attitude, aap to pop shows karte hain, like, you know, you have a playback and all, movies and all, you won't be able to do that kind of attitude, you know, at that time. But I had my niche. I had a few playback songs up my sleeve. But I remember after having worked with very big names, you know, people like A.R. Rahman, Anu Malik, when they asked me to come back for a recording, I would be somewhere in Sharjah doing a show for all the cricket teams with my whole entourage. I was doing my thing. And because I couldn't make it, you know, for a particular recording, maybe, then that was it. I was out of the queue. So
no, but that is true. So the most important thing that you've just shared right now, the most important message is that stand up for yourself. And that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, and you do what's most compelling for you at the time. Sometimes I used to wonder, you know, are my aptitudes really unclear? But then I took myself so seriously. Some people said that my music was way ahead of its time, sometime in a good way and sometime in a not so good way. Like I was rejected, my music videos. I approached certain people to make certain music videos for me. They didn't want to make them. They thought music was too sophisticated for that time. But I continued in that vein, and then Pari Hume happened. Because that was my sentimentality, exposed to classical music, but being a pop a singer. So what I'm saying is, see, everything, whether it was dance, writing, acting, writing, motherhood, everything had its time. And they were all different expressions of my love for life,
And
basically.
you got to push your own way out. There's no other way out. Nobody was going to do that for you. You have to do it yourself. Thank you, Sunita. This was fantastic. You know, I've got goosebumps listening to your journey. Honestly speaking, it's
Thank
absolutely
you.
brilliant. And but if you can, I know that you also have to rush away somewhere, but if you can stay back, because I'm definitely not letting you go without listening to 2 lines of Kesaria, but I'm going to bring you back
Okay.
after we're done with Gitika and Garima, because
All
I'm
right.
waiting to
Okay.
bring Gitika up on stage next. So thank you
I'd
so
love
much,
to.
Sunita.
I'd love to listen to them. Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having me. Thank you.
Thanks. So up next, we have another phenomenal person. Hi, Gitika. Good evening, and thank you so much.
Hi, Nani. Thank you for having me here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your patience. I know that, we are like way delayed, but then you know how it is. I'm trying to get everybody's years of journey into just 3 minutes. It's like such a tight
That's
squeeze.
okay. That's okay. You forget I'm a live event host, so I'm very used to people speaking and waiting for my turn.
That's also true. So with you, at least I don't have to feel that guilty. But however,
No.
having said that, but I definitely want to tell the people, tell our audience that other than Gita wears many hats, and other than her, of course, live host hat, she set up a totally new trend in live hosting. And other than that, she also is the founder of Ministry of Talk, where she has shown the importance of communication. But again, like, I'm going to just shut up and I'm going to hand it over to Gitika, because Gitika, I just want to definitely say one thing to you, which I think I've said that to you, but if I haven't, I want to say it just now, that every bit of you amazes me. Every single time you come up with such phenomenal stuff. And I'm not saying this because you're sitting in front of me, but you do. I mean, you're just amazing. So over to you, Gitika. Tell us about your life, your journey. How did you take to live hosting? So we've literally, time starts now. Let's go for it.
Nani, I really, I'm honestly saying this. I don't really like talking about my journey. I just think that, however careful one is, one may end up sounding, I don't know, pompous. So I would have preferred if you had just asked me a few questions. But since this debate really has since this discussion really has a purpose, and the purpose is to inspire other women out there, I'll try quickly. So the first 10 years of my journey were in Delhi, where I was a television host, and I hosted many shows on television, and I was also a live host. So I used to do a lot of work as a live host. And then in 2008-9, I decided to settle down and get married. And I had my daughter in 2010. And when I left, I was doing very well by all standards. And when I came back, I thought that would just sort of seamlessly continue. And why would it not? I had put on some weight, and I had lost touch with the trends of my category. I had lost touch with lots and lots of people who were in the industry. I knew nothing about social media, because social media really picked up around 2008. But I never really thought that I would be so bluntly rejected by the entire industry when I come back. And I had left. When I had left, I was literally doing 20 shows a month. I had hosted a daily on Star Plus. I hosted at one point. I hosted a travel show on Z. So I'd done a lot of very good work. Suddenly, here I was back after 2 years of my daughter being born, and I remember not a single call would be replied to.
Gitika, one sec. There's something with the sound. Your voice is coming and going. Or just come closer to the. Okay, so I think Gitika's got dropped off. So we'll probably bring her back. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
So where did I stop being audible?
Sorry. You carry on, doesn't matter.
Okay. So yeah, and then I began to realize that, okay, yes, your ecosystem की अगर कोई एक particular कन्वेंशन है उसको देखने से पहले हम पहले अपने आप को देख लेते हैं कि हमारे में इस वक्त क्या क्या कमी है. So I went back, I brushed up my skills of social media, I brushed up my marketing skills, I reconnected with the industry via a lot of industry platforms, performing on those. But there again, still, it was a hugely uphill climb. And then I slowly but surely began to realize, because I was told on my face by some very, very successful people that it's not going to happen. You are now married, you have a child, you have weight, you have a bit of weight on you. You anyway are not someone who really networks a lot, and you're not, you don't go out there, meet people, you only do your work and you go back home. And up hoega, what is the problem? Why do you want to work? Husband is not earning or what? There's a shelf life for anchors in life. Sabhi aapka ho gaya. We want to see younger people. We want to see more campus people. So I genuinely, it's not that I didn't get offended. I did get offended by this thought process, but I genuinely didn't understand it, because for me, anchoring or communication was really something that really had nothing to do with the way one looked or was presented, or how old one was. And I began to realize that, like me, many women across different streams in media were fighting the same battle. I could have really done walked away. I had nothing really to prove. But and this may sound really unbelievable, but I actually dug my heels in and I said that this is not correct, and not for any other reason, but for the sheer reason that I always believe that we can change the world through the life that we live. But for that one reason, let me go out there and just prove this point to all of these people who think that you can tell a woman when her career is over just because you want to see a certain kind of artist on stage. And I really, really took it upon myself. And I remember I worked harder than I think any human being can. I had a child, I was bringing her up, I had a home. I worked very, very hard. I've always said that, men really don't rule the world. It's their ego that rules the world. So I had to change the system, you have to be a part of the system. So I think somewhere I knew how to be a part of that system through just the way I was as a person. But I was also, once into the system, I was also extremely assertive about what my values were, how I would work, what I would do and I would not do. And slowly, because things started to change, and I started getting, very good opportunities on live stage. I chose not to do TV because of my daughter being young. And I started getting awarded left, right, and center. People realized the importance of
so the recognition and acknowledgement because of your persistence. But Geetika, I read somewhere that you did not want to be an anchor. So what was it that you wanted to be?
I actually did my business management from Delhi University. My dad taught me to do that. But then I went into platform from Jamia, where in my final film, I was the camera person. So I was headed to be a camera person, probably NDTV, or those days NDTV was where all of us wanted to go. And someone saw me in the studio. We had big studios in the Jamia Mascom campus. And someone saw me and offered me my first show as an anchor. And then I don't know how I got my first show as a live host. And I got paid some insane amount of money back then. So,
that was it.
For the wrong reason.
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, see, everything has a reason and everything has a path and it gets charted on its own. So listen, this has been very, very good and very, very informative. And I'm sorry I put you on the spot because I wanted you to speak about yourself, because you never end up doing that. So at least, and your journey is so fantastic on how you stood against all odds, how you made your niche, and how you stayed just to cut into that ridiculous belief. So which is you got to believe in yourself. I think bottom line is that, right? Isn't it, Geetika?
Believe in yourself. More than that, I think if your journey is genuinely truly about changing something in the world, because we are heading into a great transformation. By 2032, our world will be a different place. So I believe that if your karma is helping change the world and helping it transform into a better world, then the universe will march with you and help you.
Automatically. Yes. Absolutely. This was super powerful. So thank you so much, Gitika. I'm going to take you backstage, and I'm going to now bring Garima back on. And but don't go away, because at the end you will still have to give that very powerful message. Yes. So thank you so much, Gitika. Thanks a ton. And up next, I have another amazing, amazing, amazing person. Good evening, and thank you so much, Garima.
Hi, Nani. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me over, and happy Women's Day to
And happy
everyone.
Women's Day, and to you too. And my apologies for the delay. I know that when we'd spoken earlier, we said 7:35, 7:40 will be your chance, but no chance. I mean, there's just so much. But
I'm sure all of these incredible women we have, they had so much to tell about their lives, and it's very difficult to cut it down and bring it down to 3 minutes or 4 minutes.
I could have easily done a 9 hours show today, but the only thing was that I was feeling guilty coming into everybody's way to say, okay, fine, like let's close this and move on. But seriously, I mean, I can hear you all forever. I mean, you are such an inspiration. And Garima, I'm not reading your profile because I want you to tell us about you being the first professional driver with Mercedes and a woman car rally driver with the Mahindras, right? So
Yes, with Mahindra, I did regulatory TSD rally with them, and then I went on to doing extreme rallying later. Yes.
and then you got loads of awards for motorsports. But tell us about yourself and how you got into rallying and how you went into this entire profession.
Uh, Nani, back then when my dad taught me driving, when I was just a little girl, both he and I, we never imagined in our wildest dreams that there could even be a remotest possibility of me getting into motorsports, and on top of that, making a career out of it was like completely out of question. So, but talking about my life, I'll start with I'll give a little, very in a brief this thing I would like to say is that early on I faced huge personal challenges. I come from an old Orthodox family of Bareilly. I was married when I was just 18 years old. I want to study further. I want to make a name for myself, but I had no say. Unfortunately, it turned out to be a bad marriage. And if I'd stayed on, I would have lost all my self-respect. So it was a tough decision for me to, walk out of the marriage because my pillar of strength, my father at that time had passed away. I had no professional degree because I got married when I was just 18. I finished my education after my marriage. I had no financial independence, and on top of that, I had a young daughter. So the present and the future, it seemed like a complete nightmare. But I decided to take charge of my life, and I decided to go out of the marriage. So that was my first difficult decision that I had taken. And after my divorce, I had this strong feeling that I had no identity left. I felt completely useless with no significant role to play in the society. And then I took a full-time corporate job. I had never ever done a job earlier. I belong to a business class family, but I'm a completely self-made person, and so gradually I got financial stability in the job. This was the time when I first I was introduced to this women's car rally. I went for my first rally when I was around 30 years old at that time. I just went for fun without knowing that it would eventually become my calling and career. And when you're over 30, you're planning your retirement in any sport. Today's champions, if you see, they start very early on, much before their teens. And by the time, turn 30, they have done and seen it all. And here I was. I had decided, that I will take up motorsports as a career so late in life. And at that time, I remember my family and friends, they advised me against it because, motorsport is a risky sport. It's a tough one. And I was neither trained, I was not physically tough. And above all, I was on the wrong, side of the age curve. Besides that, motorsports was dominated by men, and it required not just physical and mental strength, but also a solid financial support. So it was a completely uncharted territory for me. I mean, I didn't know what my future is going to be like, but I was also very determined. Since then the journey may have been grueling, but I there has been no looking back. And I was very lucky because I was picked up by this highly coveted, Team Mahindra, and I won lots of awards and accolades. And I made a name for myself in the motorsport field. Then I took further training, and I got into extreme rallying. So extreme rallying is the fast-paced one, where which is the real stuff, where the guts and the skills of the rally driver are truly tested. So we drive on all kinds of terrains. Initially, yeah. So to tell a little bit more about how it all went, and then maybe I can tell about my motorsport journey a little more. But these rallies, I remember, would happen mostly during the weekends and holidays because I was in a full-time job. And then I felt that there was a huge potential for me to excel in the field of motorsports. I was, after I worked for like almost 9 years in the job, and then there came a point in my life where again I had to take a very tough decision of quitting my job to get full time into motorsports and opportunities related to cars, because I felt that there is a future, but definitely there was no guarantee of success. And again, it was an uncertain future. So this was another tough decision which I took, of quitting my, stable job where I was getting a, fixed monthly income, and getting into something which I didn't know what's going to happen, whether it's, I'll be successful in this or not. But today, when I look back, I realize that I have a huge appetite to take risks. However, I feel that had I not made those, tough and challenging decisions at that point, in time, I would not have achieved or reached where I am today. Currently,
no, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and currently I'm working as a freelance automotive journalist, and I'm a social media influencer. It was always in my dream. I would always imagine all these supercars, luxury cars, sports cars would come to my place, and I would create content around them. So this is actually happening today. These cars, they come to they stay at my place for a few days, and I drive around these cars and create around content around these cars. I've also been organizing a lot of rallies and self-drive expeditions, Nani. पहले मैं रैलीज में खुद पार्टिसिपेट करती थी और अपॉर्चुनिटीज ढूंढती थी, और अब मैं रैलीज
अपॉर्चुनिटीज बना रहे हो
और लोगों के लिए अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्रिएट कर रही हूँ एक्चुअली. So
look at that, it's fantastic. Absolutely, it's fantastic. Garima, seriously, hats off to you, because there are very few people who are able to take this thing forward the way you have. And like I said, today's one common thread which is there between all our achievers today is that, one, that you had confidence in your talent, two, that you stood for what you wanted to do, and three, there was one rebel spirit inside everyone. So this is wonderful. And Garima, a little birdie told me that you also sing. So now we're going to bring everybody back on. And now, since our formal round of one by one is over, so now we're going to have this one little small piece, because now I think time is in our hands, right? So we can quickly, we've got, I think, maximum another 6 minutes and we must wind up. So thank you so much. This has been extremely informative. But stay here and I'll bring everybody else to join us up on stage.
Sure.
So it's a surprise. Oh, Anuradha, sorry, cannot come up. So she will have to probably be in. Geetika is, video is off. Shweta is right here with us. Sangeetha is here with us. Radhika is here with us. Sunita is here. And Shohini is here. And then we have Shobna Didi with us. Wait, let me see if... so I don't know, Naina, if you can hear me, if you can ask Geetika if she can have her camera on, please. Then I can bring her up on stage. So, ladies, I have to say thank you so much. It's been amazing for me. I don't know about the audience, but it's been absolutely amazing. And I always, because I'm actually giving me goosebumps today. And I have to be very honest, you guys are exceptional. You all are exceptional. So now
Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. I mean, the stories that I've listened today, I mean, you are such an inspiration, all of you.
And
Thank you.
listening to you actually speak about it yourself makes such a huge difference.
Yes.
Absolutely. All of you.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's been fantastic.
Great. All the
Hats off to
ladies,
you, all
and
you
once
guys,
again,
all you
congratulations to all of you.
So
And to
I've got
Thank you.
Gitika here. Let me try and get her up as well on stage. Gitika, you had vanished. You turned off your camera, but we have you back on. So, now, before we close the session, I know that each of you are amazingly talented, and that's one thread that joins us all. So, either poetry or little Ada or little Bhav or two lines of your favorite song, or allow me, I can give my choices as well. So, let's start with you. Let's start with you, Garima. Two lines of any of your favorite songs, and then let's keep
Garima,
going.
that you can sing is an amazing thing. I'm a huge fan of yours. You drive the Mercedes. Garima, you drive the Mercedes. I come from Germany. Sunita and I we lived in Germany for so long. So it comes as a huge surprise that you sing.
In front of all of you stalwarts,
You actually
No.
driving.
Exactly. Yeah,
I'm
Suni,
sure she must
exactly.
be. I'm sure she must be. So, Garima, anything that's your favorite, and don't worry, everybody is the same here. So, anything that's your favorite, go for it.
Okay, quickly, I must sing then. Okay. Oh shit, I wasn't thinking this is going to happen, but दिल को तुझसे बेदिली है, मुझको है दिल का गुरूर, तू ये माने के न माने, लोग मानेंगे जरूर, या दीवानापन या मोहब्बत का सुरूर, तू न पहचाने तो है ये का। Thank you.
This was beautiful. So,
Garima, now.
Thank you so much.
This was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, Garima. And you were honestly saying this. So next time when you're driving the Mercedes, we know what you're singing. So, Shweta, you're next.
Well, I did the Gayatri mantra. I don't know if you guys have been following me, but I did
just check your the sound thing is okay. Now it's stopped.
Okay, I did a Padyatra recently in the jungles with all the wild animals, and I'm like, God, I have seen human beings. It can't be worse than the wild animals that I'm going to face. So I wasn't scared at all. And it was a really dream of mine. It would have been wonderful to have a big company like Sony or T-Series promote that. But today we have so many channels that you can release it. And I did this Gayatri mantra, and I had written a few lines because I just feel that we women are much stronger than we think we are. And although we have situations that go against us, you have to fight it. You have to, at the end of the day, truth always will find the light. So when I was going through the worst phase of my life, when I had certain accusations against me, which was not even 1% true, I wrote these lyrics. And it goes like, God has given me a voice to choose my words, to empower, not to be silenced, but to be heard, to change my today for
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So unusual, but so powerful.
Thank you.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Sangeetha, over to you.
Oh, so straight after Shweta, that's like quite a
No, please, Sangeetha.
That was so beautiful.
I'm dying to hear you sing.
That was very nice. I mean, I was going to coax her to do my Divane Divane, but after what she sang, I think that surpasses everything.
It's Women's Day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was brilliant. So, Sangeetha, over to you.
सूरज से पहले जगाएंगे और अखबार की सब सुर्खियां हम गुनगुनाएंगे, पेश करेंगे गर्म चाय, फिर कोई खबर ना आई जो पसंद बदल देंगे, जब हम बजा दिन भर घर दफ्तर में पीछे पीछे लेके चलेंगे हम, तुम्हारी फाइलें, तुम्हारी डायरी, गाड़ी की चाबियां, तुम्हारी ऐनकें, तुम्हारा लैपटॉप, तुम्हारी कैप, फोन और अपना दिल, कंवारा दिल, प्यार में हर बेचारा दिल.
Wow.
Wow.
So good. Gosh, what all you do?
Amazing.
You're amazing.
Lovely.
Absolutely. Just
Fabulous.
too amazing. So, over to Radhika.
Ooh, Radhika ji, really looking forward after a long
Thank you, बहुत शुक्रिया.
Looking forward.
कुछ याद तो नहीं आ रहा क्या गाऊं, लेकिन चलिए एक मेरी बहुत बहुत पसंदीदा गजल है, उसकी आपकी याद आती, रात भर दर्द की शम्मा जलती रही, रात भर दर्द की शम्मा जलती रही, गम की लौ थर थराती रही, रात भर आपकी याद आती रही, रात भर आपकी याद आती रही.
Whoa!
You've sung my
Wow.
favorite Chaya auntie's song.
बहुत खूब.
I've been taking training from her. I know her very well. I'm very close to Chaya auntie.
Oh really? Okay जी, मैं उन्हें दीदी कहती हूँ क्या.
Okay.
This was very, very
Thank
nice.
you.
This is beautiful. Absolutely
Lovely.
beautiful.
Really,
Radhika, thank you.
really.
Fabulous.
Sunita,
So good.
over to you.
After that, oh, मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो गए, Radhika ji. Really, that was beautiful. I mean, thank you so much.
Yeah, amazing,
So
amazing,
you-
Radhika ji.
Thank you.
So I'm going to sing something which not many people have heard. There are so many aspects to women, okay? So I'm going to sing two little things. One is something that I wrote in an album called Talash, where the woman is looking at herself in the mirror and she sings, शीशे में मैंने अपना हुस्न शबाब देखा, शर्मो हया का पहला मैंने सैलाब देखा, सांसों में हलचल है, बैठी बैठी मैं खुद से बातें हजार करूं, जागी उमंग ऐसे खुद से मैं प्यार करूं, सांसों में हलचल है, मैं जानूं ना कैसा होगा वो दिलबर, मैं जानूं ना होगा वो जाने कहाँ, शीशे में मैंने अपना हुस्न शबाब देखा. So that's the coquettish part of the woman, where she's admiring herself, loving herself, thinking of her lover. And then I wrote something for Ladli, the Girl Child Initiative, where I was appealing to women not to take any nonsense. And I said, सुन लो दिल की जुबान, खुद को ना दे सजा, ये तो हक है तेरा, बात ये ना भूला. ना वो दिन रहा ना वो रातें, भूल जा भूल जा भूल जा. Don't push me, don't force me, don't hurt me, don't. When you know things are getting real rough, you've got to be tough enough. सुन जरा हो, सुन जरा.
Very, very powerful.
Awesome.
Very
Beautiful.
beautiful.
So wonderful. So wonderful.
Super, absolutely.
Lovely.
Now over to Shoini. Shoini, it's all yours.
I'll do a Devi Speaks, which is dedicated to all of you ladies here. Empowered ladies, ladies of strength, and ladies who've changed the world. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu
Gopal?
Shakti Rupena Sanstita Namastasai 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 Namo Namo. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti Rupena Sanstita Namastasvai 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 Namo Namo. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Matri Rupena Sanstita Namastasvai 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 Namo Namo. That's it.
Beautiful. Nani, I'm going to have to leave, okay? I have to leave.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm aware. Thank you so much that you were there for so long. This is absolute bonus. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Shobnaji. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunita.
Bye, Sunny.
Bye. We love you.
And so now we've got Shobna Didi has done something interesting. It is some signal, somebody's sound. Okay, but Gitika, quickly coming to you. Would you like to leave that one? I mean, we are open to hear you sing. We are open to hear you perform. We are open to hear it. Gitika, I'm talking to. Open to hear you sing, open to hear you perform, open to hear you give one powerful line that you'd like to leave a message behind.
So I'll quickly, because I know you're running out of time, but there's this very favorite poem of mine, which I, in the years ahead, hope to use when I'm child across the country. Hope to
Gitika, there's a sound problem. Can't hear you. There's an issue. Your voice is cutting and going. We just heard poem.
10% better.
Yeah, but it is coming and going. There is an issue. Oh, a pity. Can't hear you at all now. Can't hear you at all. Is it my signal or nobody can hear her?
No, I can't hear it.
I can't hear it.
Oh no. So then now you have to share the poem with us, which we're going to put out later then. So Shobna Didi, back over to you. And
okay, then I'll say it, a poem that I had written way back when I started working on social issues. I'm talking about way back on environment in 1980-82. So it was on Kalia Daman. And it said, Kaha chupe tum kaha ho Krishne? Kaha chupe tum kaha ho Krishne? Kaha ho tum kaha ho Krishne? द्वापर के कालिया को नथने वाले, लोगों का उद्धार करने वाले, मन चेतन जागृत करने वाले, आज कहाँ हो तुम, कहाँ हो? रो रही गंगा माता, रो रही यमुना, रो रहा प्रदूषित आंचल, तेरे पुत्र पुत्रियों द्वारा हृदय न पिघले आंसू देखकर, प्रलय तांडव में भी घिरकर कब जागेगी चेतना उनकी, कब जागेगी मानव प्राण। कहाँ हो तुम, कहाँ हो कृष्ण, कहाँ हो तुम, कहाँ हो कृष्ण।
Very, very nice, Didi. Very nice. So
This
we
was
have
a
to
piece,
take
and
our back.
another one which had like 2 lines. This was on female feticide, and the female bio is asking and says, "माँ मुझको भी तो जीने दो, माँ मुझको भी तो जीने दो, मीठा कड़वा जैसा भी हो, जीवन रस तो पीने दो, माँ मुझको भी तो जीने दो, माँ मुझको भी तो जीने दो."
Beautiful, beautiful. My God, it touches the heart.
Yeah.
Touches the heart. Didi, that was beautiful. Gitika, are you in a position to quickly say a poem, or I don't know what the signal is like? Can't hear you at all. Oh, what a pity. What a pity. Okay, so I think then we should now. We are already like 1 hour over time. Because of course, when you have 9 phenomenal ladies speaking, there is no way that I can try. I could never have done it within 45 minutes. I don't even know what I was thinking of.
I
But
thought as much.
yeah, but really, honestly speaking, thank you to each and every person who was part of today's show because you made this so special. And I think this Women's Day will always be remembered, especially because of the inspirational stories, the powerful messages that you've left behind. Your journeys are so inspirational, and how you've gone beyond all odds. You've, like the cliche, broken the glass ceiling, but you guys really have. So whether the common streak over here was being a rebel, standing up for yourself, but you had confidence in yourself and you were dedicated, you were sincere towards what you wanted to do. And I think if that is there, nothing can hold you back. So that's a message not just for women, not just for girls, that's a message for everyone, I think, in life, really, more than anything else. So yes, happy Women's Day. Thank you very much,
3
Nehru
cheers
Center.
for all the black sheeps in the family.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we end, we have a beautiful video of the Nehru Center again, which we're going to show. And thereafter, thank you so much, everyone. Take care of yourselves and good night. And thank you for being with us.
Good
And
night.
a very, very happy.
Good night, and thank you, Nani. Thank
Thank
you.
you and good
Thank you
night
so much.
and all the best.
All the lovely ladies, pleasure meeting each one of you.
All
And
of
great
y'all
to
too.
see you again, Sangeetha. Sangeetha and I were classmates once
Yes,
I
upon a
know
time.
we
you were
were.
telling me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
of course,
Radhika
Radhika
ji,
ji and I, we keep
Rohini.
meeting, you know, we are all
Shobna ji, in the
collaborating.
morning I was there at the same place where you were for the prize
Oh,
distribution.
okay.
I miss saying hello to you though.
So let's do this. Let's show the AV. Let's go offline and then we can keep talking here. Yeah. So let's do this. Let's show the closure AV for the show.
All right.
Sure.
So a big thank you to Nehru Center London for this collaboration, and we're extremely grateful for this. And thank you each and every person for being with us today, all our 9 guests and every single person who was part of the show, the team behind that was Nena and Rajshri and Noor who's putting the story together. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Take care of yourselves
Thank you,
and good
Nani.
night.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Such
much.
a
Good night.
pleasure.
Good night. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Sangeeta.